Hi, I'm Claire. I'm here to run Beyond Mask, a workshop on portraits and exploring and playing with portraits. Before we start, I'd like to it's important that I acknowledge I'm here on Darug and Gundungurra land, and I want to pay respects to the traditional custodians. I want to acknowledge this land was never ceded and always will be always Aboriginal land. Okay, so where does Beyond Mask come from? It's part of the Blue Fringe exhibition, which runs every year in October. It's been running for 28 years. It's a community celebration of mental well-being and of resilience as well. So in looking at creativity, and creativity is actually part of all of us, and I believe very strongly, because I've been doing art on and off all my life. It's been a very important part of my life and who I am and making me a whole person. I believe it's really important that we actually recognise, develop and nurture our creativity to make us actually whole. And it's got me through hard times. I've had depression in my life, various things that have happened in my life, and I've found it's been a really good way to express myself and express my feelings of how I've actually been. Yeah, okay. Okay, so where next? Well, what are portraits? We take them every day. Most of us, or a lot of us, actually have our phones. We're taking photos of ourselves, we're taking photos of the people in our lives. I want to explore this in a slightly different way, using other types of art materials today. So let's talk a little bit about portraits before we start. Pictures of ourselves, pictures of others. They describe who we are, what we're about, where we're from, how we might feel on a particular day. They're wide and they're very, very varied in the way of portraits. I almost think they can actually include anything, really. For some, it's a picture of head and shoulders. For others, it's a person in a landscape doing something that they like, say a hobby, or it's got something to do with their career or their job. And for others, it may actually not mean having a person actually in that picture. It might be a picture of their pet, their dog or their cat that they love. And for others, it's actually not even about having a person there, because they are connected to land, they're connected to country. So it's so different for all of us. Portraits can also be very real, in that you'll recognise it and you'll recognise the image. And then for others, it's what we call more abstract. And what I mean by that is, it may not look, it doesn't look real, but you can still see a hint of a person actually in there. So, okay, what I want to do now is I want to actually start. Okay, let's start. Let's start drawing. I think before we start though, I think what's really important in all of this is not about making perfect art. It's not about perfect drawings. I don't know what perfect art actually is and what it actually looks like. We all draw differently because we're all different. And what I'd like to just say first up is, this is what I'd like to say. Play with all of this. Enjoy this. Okay, taking a piece of paper, A4 paper, either take charcoal or a soft pencil like a 4B pencil. Draw with what you feel comfortable with. I like charcoal because I find it's very forgiving and I like the effect. Other people like a pencil. So I'm going to start with more of a Western idea. I guess I also come from a Western training in art. So I'm just going to start, and this is just to get a rough idea of a head and the facial shapes and features and where they roughly are. And I say rough Because if we look out there, we're all different. We've all got different, faces. So, no one really fits this strict idea of what a face is. Because today we're going to be drawing from our imagination as well. We're not going to actually be drawing from someone else. We're not going to be drawing from a model. So what I'm going to keep this, I want you to draw loosely. Try and keep it as loose as possible. And rather than thinking of eyes, head, neck, think of these parts of us more as shapes. Like the head, it's actually more of an X shape. The neck, it's more of a cylinder or a can of baked beans. So I'm thinking like that more. Okay, so very, very softly, just pop your head in. Egg-shaped head. Just lightly, we're just lightly putting everything in. We can work back into this as much as or as little as we want to later. There's my egg. Roughly between the top of the head and the chin is the eye line. So I'm just going to put a little line in. So just put a little line in. Then between the eye line and the bonnet, the chin, you've got the nose. So I'm just going to put halfway between those 2 points, we'll put the nose. And then between the bottom of the nose and the chin, there are the lips. I tend to always put my lips too low, but I'll try not to this time. Okay. You can already see that there's an image of a person coming through. It's amazing how we recognize an image of a person by very, 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 very little. Okay, so let's get some eyes in. Just draw a circle. The eyeball is a circle. Draw another circle on the other side. There's roughly a circle the same size of the eye in between as well. So that can give you a little bit of a gauge. Okay. Let's come down and get the neck in, I think. Necks are always a lot wider than we think they are. We tend to draw them a little bit too narrow. Just think about the head weighs something, so it actually has to be supported by the neck. The neck, what is it? It's a cylinder. 2 lines down, okay? Let's connect this person. Let's connect this neck. No, they're connected. Okay, let's get some shoulders in. Just a light line, just a light line. Just going to give them a little bit of a t-shirt. Okay, come back to the eyes. Although the eyeball is round and it's deeply within the sockets of the skull, and think of your skull as well underneath the face. What is actually underneath the face? We've all got a skull that gives us structure. The eyeball is round, but the eye is roughly an almond shape. Just putting that in lightly. I think it would also be nice to get some pupils in. Just a little eye. Can I just remind you, this is just a rough idea of where our features. Okay, come down to the nose. We've got the tip of the nose there. Just a little line around to give an idea of the nose. Also, just think about what your charcoal or your pencil can do. You can do really light lines, but you can do really nice heavy lines. So start thinking about that, of how you would like to actually make this drawing more your own and how you're going to make your marks. Let's just put some eyes in. Sorry, not the eyes, the ears. The ears come roughly at the eye line. They go up a little bit and then they come down around about the nose. There are our ears. Okay, some lips. There's a little V shape at the top of the lip, on the top lip. I just pop that in, put a little line. Now, where do the lips come out to? They come out roughly. You can actually draw a line down the eye, down the middle of the eye, to the edge of the lips. Okay, all right. Let's get some eyebrows in. Okay, not everyone has eyebrows. but I'm going to put eyebrows on this person. Just coming up to the top. Like that. And I've chosen to actually put some hair on this person as well. Some people don't have hair for lots of different reasons, but this person for me is going to have hair. You may choose differently. Okay, so I'm just going to get some hair in. Maybe quite rough. I'm going to, I'm putting my charcoal on its side just to give a nice thick line coming down through the ears and then, okay, that's my hair coming down a little bit. Now I'm just going to work back into this drawing a little bit, and I'm going to bring that eyelid a little bit over so they're not staring out so much. Coming back in the eye, getting a little bit more line, a little bit of darkness into the eyes, a little bit more definition into the nose. The lips, top lip is usually, there's a little bit more shadow to define the lip on the top lip. And then to define the bottom lip, what we can do is we can actually just put a little bit of shading just underneath, and that helps to bring it through. Now, if you're wanting to put more of an expression on your face, because this person's really looking staring out at the moment, think about that line of where you want to put that lip line. Do you want to put it up? Do you want to put it facing down? I leave that to you at the moment. So I'm just coming back. I just want to give a little bit more definition into all of this. Coming back up into the eyebrows. And with a little bit of paper towel, or you can use a rubber, I'm just going to smudge a little bit, just for a bit more effect. A little bit under the eyes, right across the cheeks, just underneath the eyebrow, underneath the nose, and underneath the chin. I also just want to put a little bit of shading underneath the neck as well. I want this person to look a bit more full looking. But again, just taking this in, this is a rough guide. It's just a start to what we're going to be doing. Okay, coming up over the forehead, give a little bit of texture in there, come down a little bit. You may want to smooth some lines out. Okay, all right. And just to finish, I'm going to actually just colour with the flat of my charcoal, just to give a little bit of texture into this person's t-shirt and a little bit of a hard line. Okay, there we go. Look, that gives you a rough idea of where our features are and how we actually can draw, if we choose to draw a head and neck and shoulders. So what we've just done is more of an idea of a Western trained idea of what a traditional portrait might be. I want to push that. I want to explode that idea because I think there are just so many ways in which we can actually do portraits, as we've probably already talked about. So this is what we have done. So I want to show you some examples of other artists' work from actually all over the world. I could show you heaps and heaps and heaps, and I would never get to the end of what portraits can actually look like. This is just a very small selection. Before I start, I'd just like to say that some of the artists that I am going to show are by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, and some of those artists have actually passed. So let's start with something a lot of you might know this one. This is Frida Kahlo, Mexican artist. Yeah, it's realistic, so you recognize her face. Strong work. She was a woman who had an accident, very young in her life, and she lived with a lot of pain, and she did what got her through her pain, or helped to get her through her pain, was to actually draw and paint. She loved animals, and so what she's done is she's actually included some of her pets, one of her pets, and that's a monkey. She kept monkeys and deers. The next piece I'm going to show is by a group of school children. I got this off the internet. I have to apologise that I can't find the source of it, but I really wanted to show it. This is drawings by young people. They've been done in black and white, and then the image has been cut out and they've been put onto a colourful background, and then they've all been put together. You can see how varied they are. They're beautiful. Going back a few years, I'm not sure, some of you may know this person. This is an Italian artist. This was painted in 1572 by a man called Giuseppe Arcimboldo. He did portraits of people made up of fruit and vegetables and animals. This one's called Summer. So it's the harvest of summer. It's the wheat that you can see for his clothes and the fruits that are harvested during summer. The next person's art is by Nairi Reynolds. She's a contemporary Aboriginal artist of the Wiradjuri language group. I spoke to Nairi and she gave me permission to actually show this very beautiful work. Her work shows the stolen generation, the Aboriginal children that were actually removed from their country, their language and their culture. It's an incredibly strong, evocative piece of work. And I said that some people, they don't draw themselves. They actually draw an animal that they like as a portrait. I pulled this one out of the internet. And this is I feel is a portrait of an emu. Such a beautiful shape coming towards us. Okay. Next piece is a piece by a German artist, is Emil Nolde. He painted during World War II. This is a watercolour, and what I love about it is its colour, its looseness, and then just a few lines to actually help define the face. And this is a portrait of two people together. The next piece is by an Aboriginal artist, contemporary artist, Christian Thompson. This is head with kangaroo paw. So this is a photograph, and he works with culture, our culture, and how cultures mix together. I love this piece. This is done by Sequoia. She's 7 years old. And I'm showing you all of these because they are so different and varied and beautiful in their own ways. This is actually a picture of her grandfather. The next painting, and it is a painting, is by Weaver Jacks. She was an Aboriginal artist, and this was actually put into the 2006 Archibald Prize. So the Archibald Prize is run every year by the New South Wales government, New South Wales Gallery, and this doesn't show a picture of a head or a person. This is her country, because she said, this is my whole being. I am connected to my country. This is me. And the last piece I'd like to show is this piece here. It's a Nigerian head, it's a bronze head made, and this is a sculpture, and it's of a priest or a king at the time. It was made around about the 10th, 13th century. So that gives you, I guess, a small, very small idea of what portraits can be. And I think we're going into our next exercise now, where we're going to use oil pastels. And just take that with you. Take those original ideas of that, that drawing that we did originally. But now let's really push this and where we can actually take it. Take it where you want to take it, okay? What works for you? There's no prescription to this. And those examples I've given you are just purely examples of the variation that we can do and how we can draw portraits. Okay, let's go. So for this next exercise, we're going to use oil pastel. And in fact, we're going to actually use 2 oil pastels together. So having a look at your oil pastels, I don't want you to really think about this too much. I think we just need to just get on and do it. So I'm going to just grab 2 pastels. For some reason, I don't know why, I've pulled out orange and blue. Now, with the first drawing in mind of roughly where our features of our head go, I want you to just start somewhere. I'm always drawn to people's eyes. So that's where I'm going to start. And the only other thing I want you to think of is trying to keep these 2 pastels, one together, so they're drawing together. And the other thing is, don't take the pastels actually off the page. We're going to get some quite interesting effects from that. So I'm going to start with an eye. You may want to start with an ear. You may want to start with the face or the head or a neck. So I'm going to start with an eye. They're almond shaped, so I'm just going to draw a little almond shape. Oh, I'm going to draw a little ball inside that almond shape. Then I'm going to come down into the nose, little bump, coming up the other side, drawing with my 2 pastels together, almond shape. What I'm doing is, sometimes I'm a little bit lighter with one, sometimes a little bit heavier with one. And then, I'm just going to come up with an eyebrow above here. Let's draw an eyebrow. Oh, how do I want to draw that eyebrow? I want to do really heavy orange. Then I'm going to come over to the other eyebrow, just putting that in. Oh, look, I think I feel like I need to draw a head now. So I'm going to put the head in. Oh, I'm around here. Let's draw an ear. I might just make that a little bit heavier on the blue line, and then I'm going to come around here and I'm going to draw another ear. You may decide you only want to put one ear in. I'm going to then come across, tracking across, I'm going to draw the lips, just a slight lip shape. Come in heavy sometimes. Oh, that little nose, it just needs a little bit more there. I want to draw a bit of a neck. And I'm just going to come across and draw little shoulders. Well, the way this drawing's turned out, I can't actually get much of the shoulders in. I can get one shoulder in. And he's leaning over the side. I quite like that. It gives it a little bit more individual feel to it, the drawing. Come back to the eyes. Oh, I might make this one orange. Okay. Do I want some hair? He's looking quite good, actually, bald, I think. But no, I might put a little bit of hair on him as well. Okay, take your time. Just feel into it. Yeah. Okay. Well, how are you going? Might just take a little bit, if you want to spend a little bit more time, just doing this, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to just put a little bit more emphasis on the eye. Oh, what are those called? Eye covers. Eyelids. Okay, right. I think I'm finished now for now. That's our really loose drawing of our head and our shoulders. It's got a lot more character than the first drawing that we did. So we're starting to loosen this whole idea up of portrait and what this is going to look like. The next thing I want you to do is actually tear this up. Now that can be hard to do, especially if you're looking at a drawing you've done and you go, oh, I quite like that. I don't really want to tear it up, but we're going to tear it up, okay? If you really don't want to tear it up and you think, nope, that's actually finished, put it aside and do another one which you can tear up, okay? We're going to tear it up. Now, there's lots of different ways you can tear it up. I'm going to show you a couple of ways. I'm going to tear this drawing up, ripping it lengthways. I'm going to do different strips of thickness. Okay. Already, oh, what's happening? What is happening? Keep looking at your work. It'll tell you what it needs. Before we go any further though, I want to just show you one other way. I've actually done another very similar drawing to the first one. What I want to do is just show you a different way of tearing it up. Tearing's lovely. It's a little bit more haphazard than cutting up. But if you choose to cut, you choose to cut. I'm going to cut them across. Ooh. Okay, so you can see already that these two portraits are going to look really different. One where I've done it vertically or lengthways. The other way is long. There was an artist by the name of Giacometti who did a lot of portraits. Some of you may know him, who did very long faces. So all of a sudden you can actually start exaggerating and pushing this portrait around. Which one am I going to choose? I think I'm going to choose the one which I did first, the one where we tore lengthwise or vertically. So I might do that other one another day. I'm going to just put that aside. Taking a big piece of white paper, just need to think before we put these down, because we're actually going to stick these down to the piece of paper. I want to spread these apart, these pieces. So for this particular work, I'm going to turn my paper around. And then I'm going to start putting these pieces on the page. I'm not going to really think about it too much, but what I want to try and do is have different widths in between. Our next thing to do is you may want to just shift a piece down or shift a piece up or move it slightly. So we're really starting to push that, whoa, what's happening to this portrait. Also, you don't have to work within the boundary of the page. If one of these strips is on the outside, let it be. It makes it more interesting work. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is actually stick everything down. With glue stick, I'm just going to stick everything. This takes a little bit of time. So we've finished sticking. The next thing is we're going to actually start working back into this work. I'm not sure where this is going to go at the moment. I'm not going to really worry about that. I'm just going to pick up some colours and start working. This can take some time. Stay with it. Try not to judge it of what you're doing. Okay, so I'm just going to, and this is where you can get some very beautiful effects of what we call layering work. So we actually go over the colours of what we've already put down. So I just want to get some colour in at the moment and get some basic shapes going. I'm actually working with the flat of the crayon, so I've actually peeled the paper off. And I'm working quite quickly. By working quickly, it allows me to play more. It stops me from judging my work. Because I always find, I don't know about you, but I find if I ponder too long, I judge. Just picking up a colour. There's something that there's something else in us that, our body will choose what it actually needs. I'm coming down into the neck. Oh, hold on. I can look at your work. Your work will tell you what it actually needs. And what I'm starting to find is there's actually 2 people in here. So I'm just going to go with it. I've decided to just create another nose if I'm going to have 2 people. Work with line, work with shape, work lightly, work heavy. Don't be worried by what it looks like. Picking up a blue. So it looks like possibly what's going to happen is I am going to get the 2 heads coming through. I'm not sure how those heads are going to meet at the moment. And it looks like this person might have 2 eyes very, very close to each other. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time. I am keeping on coming back to that original drawing of a head, some ears, but I'm not going to be bound by it. I want to start playing with colour. I want to start playing with my lines. I want to start finding shapes. I'm going to bring in a little bit of black. I don't work with black very much. I tend to use it to define, because it can define beautifully actually. But that's just me. We all work differently. Ooh. Give this eye a little bit more definition. Okay. So sometimes I work with the tip of my oil pastel, and then other times I work on the broad side, on the length side. Sometimes I work a little bit light, and then other times I'm working really heavy to define part. And I'm not really thinking about it too much. Okay. I could keep working on this for a long time. It makes me feel good. It just allows me to go into myself and explore with colour, with shape, and I keep looking at the work, and the work starts to tell you what it needs. Just to finish off for today, because unfortunately we've got limited time, what I'd like to do is I just want to put a little bit of a background on here. I feel I need to put like a little bit of a frame. And then I'm just going to do a very light, just want to put this into I guess I want to put these heads, which turned out to be 2 heads, only by accident. I just want to put them into some type of place, green place. I love green, I love nature. So here's my drawing that I've, semi-finished. What I would like to do now, I probably would go on with this at the moment, but we're going to move on to our next exercise. Before we do, I just want to show you, I did quite a few practices with this in preparation for this workshop. So I just want to actually show you some other works that I've actually done. Some of them work and some of them don't. And that's okay. This is one of the drawings that I did, and I cut it up lengthwise, the pieces lengthways like we've already just done. I quite like this wobbly eye here. I'm not sure if she looks too happy or not either, but yeah. Then I thought, well, I'd cut the page across. And so I made one of those long drawings. I wouldn't say this is finished. I would like to actually go back and work more into this work. But I like the effect of that that lengthening of the face. Then I did another one. And what I did was, first up, I actually cut the pieces up lengthways, stuck them all down, drew back into it, and I didn't like it. I thought, this is not working. So I tore it up again, and I tore it diagonally, so across the page. So what I mean by that is I tore it like that, from the corner, stuck it down again, and reworked it. And I came out with this piece. Again, it's like 2 heads, or is it 1 head joined by the lips, splitting apart, 2 very different faces. So I just wanted to show you those. Then I thought, I'm still looking at the face. What else can I do with this? So I did another one. And I can't say that I'm actually that happy with it at the moment. I think it just needs more work. So look, some works work and some of our works don't. Don't be discouraged. Keep working with it. Try and find new ways of exploring it. I think with this one, what I was trying to do was actually find the landscape in the face. It's on its way, but it's not quite there at the moment. I need to go back into this work. But I just wanted to show you, you can really start to actually push these works into very different directions. Go where you want to go. Okay, so that's the end of the portrait workshop today. It only gives you a real taster for portraits and what you can do with them. You can go in so many different directions. For those of you who would like to actually put some work into the Blue Fringe, you'll find an entry form in the pack that you got. Just have a look at it. You can actually upload your image, or you can actually drop off your images or your work as well. Works need to be in by the 5th of October. Any questions or queries, you can actually phone either myself, Claire Delaney, or Sherry Brandon on 4782 5133 at the Blue Mountains Women's Health and Resource Centre. And I guess yeah, I hope to see you soon.